Oh, hey there! Welcome to Rapid Movie Recaps, the channel where we spoil movies faster than you can say popcorn. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give us a like, and turn on notifications because, we all need more distractions. And hey, why not support our never-ending quest for world domination by checking out our merch? Yeah, it's down below. You're welcome. So our movie starts with this lady named Tess Marshall who's just so excited to be checking into her Airbnb in the middle of a torrential downpour. What a great start. She's all like, where the heck are the keys? 'Cause surprise, they're not in a lockbox. Classic mix-up. Tess tries calling the Airbnb host, but of course, she gets sent straight to voicemail. Why would anyone answer their phone, right? So she leaves a message, hoping they'll get back to her. In the meantime, she notices the house lights are on, and she's like, well, that's weird. Ding dong. She rings the doorbell, and lo and behold, there's a guy inside. Meet Keith, our unintentional roommate for the night. Turns out, their genius booking agent double-booked the place, so now Tess and Keith are stuck together like the odd couple. Keith, being the saint that he is, lets Tess in because, it's raining cats and dogs out there. He even shows her his booking confirmation on the app, just to prove he's not some creepy stalker. Tess, still feeling super awkward about the whole thing, starts looking for a hotel, but guess what? They're all booked up. Keith, who's just so helpful, tells her there's a massive medical convention in town, so finding a vacant room would be like finding a needle in a haystack. He's basically like, hey, why don't you just stay here for the night? And being the gentleman he is, he gives her the bedroom. So Tess and Keith, our newfound roomies, continue their little adventure. After Keith hauls her suitcase inside like a true gentleman, Tess goes into the bedroom and just for a little extra safety, snaps a pic of his ID from his wallet. Can't be too careful, right? She hands the wallet back, then takes a shower to wash off all that awkwardness. When Tess re-enters the living room, there's Keith, just waiting with an unopened bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Classic move. But Tess is no fool. She refuses to drink. She does, however, agree to chat with him because why not? It's not like they're total strangers sharing a house or anything. During their convo, Tess reveals she's in town for a job interview with filmmaker Catherine James. As fate would have it, Keith has seen her latest movie, and he's part of a music collective that'll be featured in her next film. What are the odds? Tess lets her guard down, and they have a grand old time, even laughing together as Keith demonstrates the fine art of flipping fresh sheets. Skills, people. After they make the bed, Keith says goodnight, and it's obvious he's smitten. But later that night, Tess is woken up by a creaking door and finds it wide open. Creepy, right? And to make things even weirder, she hears Keith in his sleep, panting and saying, "Help me." Tess decides to investigate and wakes Keith up, freaking him out in the process. Tess asks if he opened her door, but he's just as confused as she is. After apologizing, she makes sure to lock her door, this time before going back to sleep. The next morning, she finds a note from Keith saying he's out and about, but he had a great time with her last night. Finally, as she leaves for her interview, Tess notices that the entire neighborhood is run down and empty, except for the house she's staying in. But she's running late, so she just shrugs off the glaring red flag and goes on her merry way to her interview. Let the suspense build. So after her interview with Catherine James, Tess mentions she's staying in Brightmoor, and Catherine's all like, "Girl, are you crazy?" That place is dangerous, but Tess, being the fearless protagonist she is, insists she's fine. Back at the house, Tess spots a homeless guy running towards her, yelling for her to get out. Oh, just another day in paradise. She frantically grabs the keys and locks herself inside, narrowly escaping the dude. Tess tries calling 911, but no help is available. Great timing, right? She packs her bags and decides to hunker down inside the house, because why not? A little later, she discovers they're out of toilet paper upstairs. Oh, the horror. So she heads to the basement to get some. But when she comes back up, the door closes and locks behind her. Classic haunted house move. To top it off, she left her phone in the bedroom, and the house key is in her pocket, so Keith can't even get back in. While searching for something to break the window, Tess stumbles upon a rope sticking out of the wall. She pulls it, revealing a super creepy door. Because, basements aren't scary enough on their own. Bored and trapped, she decides to explore the dark room using a mirror to reflect some light. She finds another door, which leads to a small room with dried blood, a bucket, and an ancient camera. Yup, nothing disturbing about that. Thankfully, Keith arrives just in time to save the day. Tess calls out to him through the window, handing him the key. After he rescues her, she starts freaking out about the horrifying room she found. But Keith, Mr. Cool and Collected, brushes it off as totally normal basement stuff. No biggie, right? He decides to check it out himself and tells Tess to wait upstairs, just in case the door decides to lock again. Because, doors have minds of their own. Tess, being the ever-impatient protagonist, decides she's had enough waiting and checks on Keith. She makes sure to prop the door open with a chair this time, because fool her once. Heading downstairs, she calls for Keith but gets no answer. She ventures back into the creepy dark hall, but surprise, surprise, he's not there. Instead, Tess finds another door leading to a stairway going even deeper into the basement. Because why not? This house just keeps getting better and better. She hears Keith screaming for help, so she has no choice but to descend into the darkness. Tess navigates through the terrifying halls, filled with rusty cages and doggy bowls, finally finding a petrified Keith who claims he's been bitten. Classic horror movie move. The two argue about the way out, but before they can escape, a horrifying naked humanoid monster appears and bashes poor Keith's head against the wall. R.I.P. Keith. The creature screams at Tess, and her fate remains unknown. Now we're introduced to A.J. Gilbride, a successful Hollywood actor with a scandal on his hands. He's been accused of sexual misconduct against a co-star and gets fired from his show. Desperate for cash to hire a lawyer, he flies to Detroit to liquidate an asset he owns there. And wouldn't you know it, the asset is the delightful house in Brightmoor. What a coincidence. When AJ arrives, he finds Tess's car and both hers and Keith's belongings scattered around the house. He's absolutely livid, thinking someone's been squatting in his lovely abode. He calls his house manager, but she says there haven't been any new Airbnb bookings in the past 2 weeks. It's a mystery, folks. So AJ, being the self-absorbed guy he is, ignores the mystery of Tess and Keith's belongings for now and meets up with a friend in town. We find out that he really did assault his co-star, but won't admit it was rape. Classy guy, right? The next morning, AJ starts snooping through Keith and Tess's stuff to figure out who they are. He finds Tess's laptop and her car keys, but the real treasure hunt is in the basement. AJ gears up with a small knife and a flashlight because that's clearly all you need in a horror movie. In the basement, he hears a loud thump and finds the rope sticking out of the wall. He opens the hidden door, but being not so bright, he doesn't find the creepy room alarming. Instead, he sees dollar signs, thinking more space equals more property value. So he whips out a measuring tape and starts measuring the dark hall and sketchy room. He gets even more excited when he discovers another hidden door leading deeper underground. No fear here, folks. He continues measuring, not even bothered by the rusty cages. AJ stumbles upon a foul-smelling room with a TV playing an old tutorial on nursing a baby. Suddenly, something tugs on his measuring tape, and he lets it go. A scary noise sends him running deeper into the tunnel, where he comes face to face with the horrifying creature. Panicking, AJ runs until he falls down a hole and finds Tess there with him. It's a regular basement party now. Next, we get a flashback to the 80s, when the house's original owner, Frank, leaves his home. The neighborhood is still thriving, and Frank heads to the grocery store for baby supplies. But something's off about him. He starts following a lady's car and watches her at her house. Disguising himself as a city electrician, he enters her home to check for potential power outages. But instead, he unlocks her bathroom window before heading back to his lair. Because, every good horror movie needs a creepy, stalking character. Frank's neighbor tells him everyone's selling their properties due to an expected economic crash. But Frank, being a model of stability, is staying put. When he goes back into his house and opens the basement door, we hear a lady's agonizing scream. Ah, lovely ambience. Fast forward to the present, Tess warns AJ to stay calm around the creature. The creature then hands them a baby bottle filled with some questionable milk. Tess, knowing her manners, drinks it and tells AJ to do the same. But AJ, being the rebel, refuses. The creature gets a bit upset and decides to cradle Tess while attempting to baby talk AJ in a spine-chilling voice. It then drags AJ away, leaving Tess alone in the hole. The creature takes AJ to the TV room for some forced nursing. Meanwhile, Tess sees her chance to escape, but accidentally steps on the measuring tape, alerting the creature. Now the chase is on. Tess starts crawling out of the tiny window, and a homeless person helps her just in time. Turns out, the homeless folks knew about the creature all along, and our homeless friend warns Tess that the creature comes out at night and isn't alone. Meanwhile, AJ stumbles upon a bell and a power line, which he follows to a room with a very old man, Frank. Tess manages to get to a nearby gas station, where she borrows a phone to call 911. When the police arrive, they dismiss her as a drug addict. Still, she convinces them to come to the house to save AJ, but the officers, skeptical about her story, think she's just a delirious homeless person and drive away. Poor Tess can't catch a break. While Tess deals with the police, AJ and Frank have a heart-to-heart. Frank gestures for AJ to fetch his bedside drawer, and AJ discovers a lovely collection of tape recordings labeled with various women's names. Playing one, he's treated to the sounds of a woman being assaulted. Outraged, AJ starts yelling at Frank, who, in an Oscar-worthy performance, promptly shoots himself. Upstairs, Tess fetches her car keys and tries to escape, only to meet the mother. She bravely rams the creature into a wall, but sadly she passes out. Meanwhile, AJ grabs Frank's gun and ventures back into the tunnels. In a classic mix-up, he accidentally shoots Tess in the waist. They scramble to escape, only to find the creature has miraculously freed itself. With no functional cars, Tess leads them to the homeless man's lair. He explains that Frank was a serial rapist who forced his victims to have babies, resulting in generations of incest and eventually the mother. But the creature interrupts their history lesson, tearing the homeless man limb from limb. AJ and Tess, in a stroke of genius, run up a nearby water tower. At the top, AJ remembers he has a gun, but being a true klutz, lets it slip from his hands. Running out of options, AJ pulls a classic jerk move and throws Tess down the tower. Miraculously, the mother saves her baby, and Tess survives. AJ descends, claiming he doesn't know what happened and that Tess just slipped. Talk about a wild ride. In a shocking twist, the mother rises, grabs AJ, and treats him to a little eye candy by gouging his eyes out. She then adds a cherry on top by splitting his head in two. The creature then tenderly approaches Tess, attempting to carry her back to the cozy tunnels. Tess, moved by this display of affection, grabs AJ's gun and aims it at her newfound caretaker. With a pained look of remorse, she pulls the trigger, bidding adieu to her monstrous mama. Tess manages to pull herself together and stumbles out to seek medical help. And with that, folks, our wild ride comes to an end. You can purchase this cinematic masterpiece at the link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in to our rapid movie recap. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more summaries of your favorite flicks.